And we're doing it. I'm doing it in a very surgical way, right? Like I am pulling the components off because there's just so much customization that would have been done over decades, right? And you don't have to ask. There's usually not enough documentation that would have been done. So in many cases, you rip it off and see what's under there, and you go, oh, okay, let's adjust. And so it's painstaking. It's taking longer than you would probably have wanted, but it's because we have to be careful that when we turn something off, that we don't surprise ourselves by breaking the inventory system over here because it needed that one variable that we stopped providing. So
hello, and welcome to another episode of Leaders in Tech podcast, where we're interviewing leaders in technology that are really changing the world for a better place with the companies they lead. Today we have with us Arthur. Welcome to the show.
hey, thanks for having me.
Arthur, for the audience, can you give me your full name? Where do you live and what do you do for a living?
Sure. My name's Arthur Phidd, and I am the Chief Information Officer at Reed's Jewelers and Reeds.com. Our head office is based in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we have a footprint of approximately 89 retail stores spread across 13 states. And through Reeds.com, we're allowing our customers to shop globally, and we ship globally.
This podcast is brought to you by ISU Corp. Are you having trouble with your software projects? Is there a project that's taking too long or a technology you can't handle? We can help. We are ISU Corp, experts in custom software since 2005. With almost 20 years of experience, we can solve any technical problem from new businesses to satellite software. We've done it all. Let us turn your ideas into reality. Learn more about how we can help by visiting us at www.isucorp.ca. Your solution starts here.
That's amazing. How long have you been working there?
I've been with Reeds going on 5 years now. Started at the start in early 2020, April of 2020.
So you decided to change jobs just when the world was going down.
Yeah, it sure feels that way. It looks that way.
Wow. I can imagine all the responsibilities you had to go through during the pandemic and how to react so that the businesses survive, right? Because you guys are retailers, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting time for us because a traditional jewelry business model is heavily dependent on store foot traffic.
Right.
It's dependent on shopping malls being open. And but it also spelled opportunities for us, right? Because it meant that we had an opportunity, a real use case, a real business case to invest more diligently, I suppose, in our online business in Reeds.com.
Did you already have an online presence before COVID?
Yes, Reeds.com was a thing many years before the pandemic. Interestingly, even though we had the shutdowns and all of the issues that came as a result of a pandemic, during the 2020, 2021, and even 2022, company-wide, historically, those were the best years for our company.
What?
In terms of revenues. Absolutely. We're still trying to figure it out, but I think it had a lot to do with the fact that shoppers were not going on vacations. They weren't taking cruises because of the restrictions. And so they're sitting on cash. And the one thing about our industry is it's a very emotional kind of thing because you're always celebrating life's moments, right? And so whether it's a pandemic or I always say, even if it's a nuclear blast, Valentine's Day is going to show up and Christmas is going to show up and Black Friday and Cyber Monday. It's just going to keep rolling around every 12 months. And so people are motivated as well, I believe that there are people who just felt like they needed to treat themselves, that you're locked in for months, a year or so.
Yeah.
And so we saw an increase, as well as our digital business jumped quite a bit, almost doubled as we moved from 2019 into 2020, 2021. It just kept increasing since then.
What a blessing. That proves that, defying the odds is something supernatural, right? Like I cannot believe that a retailer will be actually sell more during the shutdowns. Amazing. What a beautiful miracle.
It is. And we cannot pinpoint the specific catalyst or reasoning behind it, but we do know that we saw a huge lift in our annual performance numbers, top line sales, both in our brick and mortar business and absolutely our online jumped, as you would have anticipated, as more people shifted to shopping online.
Right. How long were you guys shut down at the storefront?
Well, we were never really shut down across the board per se, as much as we stayed open, but we respected the federal guidelines for how do you operate during a pandemic. We had reduced hours. We had the signage reminding people to respect the space. 6 feet apart. We controlled how many people would be allowed in the store, the physical store, at a time. So we took all of those steps. I think it shows the power of our brand and how dedicated our customers are, that while it might have taken them a little bit longer to, again, come in and find that particular charm or watch or ring, they waited their turn and came in and found the product they wanted and paid for it.
Amazing. And another thing that we must consider too is that in times of big crises, people will think that of course the economy will be affected and the value of the dollar will go down as governments print money. And when you have a piece of jewelry, it's going to increase in value. So it's a good store of value, right?
Yeah. Again, it's extremely ironic. Nobody would have predicted the outcome that we experienced. I mean, because why would you, right? But it does show that people are motivated by different things. And the emotive side of our business, I think, is strong. People are celebrating anniversaries. Remember, people continued to get engaged during the pandemic. People got married during the pandemic. People were graduating from universities and colleges and high schools during the pandemic. These moments of celebration, you see, kept on going. Mm-hmm. And they align with the seasons of our business, right? And so people continued to purchase their graduation rings. They continued to buy their engagement rings and wedding bands and Christmas gifts and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Giving Tuesday and Valentine's and Mother's Day didn't stop because of the pandemic.
Right.
God forbid.
It's interesting. I live in Canada, and you guys were pretty strict, depending on the state. But you were like, some states was amazing, like Florida. But most of the red, the liberal states, they were very strict. But in Canada, the whole country was very, very strict. I mean, we were shut down for 2 years, and people really suffered. My daughter, for example, her graduation, commencement, and her celebration for university was in 2021, and all she got was a line in a video on YouTube with her name on it.
Yeah,
celebration.
Yeah. No, it impacted life as we knew it then. But interestingly, we'd probably have to have a bunch of psychologists study the psychosis that would have motivated people during a lockdown to go out and spend thousands of dollars and treat themselves. We saw customers, we saw women buying, diamonds for themselves and treating themselves. It truly was a phenomenon, that period. And we accept it as a win The jury's still out as to how that happened, but it's all right.
Do you have a head office where you had people in and you had to send them home? Like, how do you manage that transition?
Our head office is where I am in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we have approximately roughly 220 employees who are head office based. We transitioned to a hybrid remote on-site work model almost overnight. Infrastructure wise, technology wise, we were ready because our VPN was already up and running and established. Everyone had a laptop. So people basically undocked and work remotely. And we moved from a head office standpoint, we moved to a, 2 days on, 3 days off, or 3 days on, 2 days off, depending on the role. And by doing that, we did our best to reduce the number of people in any one space at a time, by staggering the on-off, on-site, off-site schedule. It was difficult for some employees. I'd say it was difficult for some managers and some of my peers, some of the C-suite people, because it's a new thing. It's a different way of working. But we adjusted, and we've not gone back, to be honest. We've continued. We're basically a hybrid workforce now.
Well, I think that's probably one of the best solutions, because if you think about it, you still need to have the human interaction. You need to build your culture. But at the same time, if you can actually save some commuting time and save some energy and stay home a few days a week, but willing you. In my case,
Right.
when we were extreme, like we were a remote office first. Like one of my main businesses is a software consulting firm, and I started in 2005 with that concept that I will allow my senior developers to work whatever they want, as long as they will do the job. So 90% of my staff were already remote.
Well, I mean, we have certain roles that you cannot do remote, right? We have to do pick, packing, and shipping, the fulfillment side of our operations. You have to be at the warehouse. You have to be on our head office campus, which is where we do our fulfillment activities for reads.com, for the digital channel placed orders. And so certainly throughout the COVID period, we had people working in the fulfillment center. But again, we took steps to abide by the rules, spacing and gathering and so forth, because those orders had to go out. You made the purchase and you need it for Valentine's Day. And so we just adjusted the way we handled crowd control, I'd like to say, at the head office.
Yeah, and I truly still believe that we need to get together and see each other. We're social beings, right? I mean, in my case, I shut down the office, the head office. After the pandemic, very few people will show up, and the performance of the company went up. But I miss it. I miss going there and seeing people, and now we do everything on Zoom or Google Meets or whatever have you. Like the Christmas party, I remember, was beautiful, but it was a 2-hour conversation on Zoom playing games.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it doesn't make a merit of being in a place together and seeing like more a flesh human body, a one flesh human body, right?
Well, if you take, for example, this morning, I mean, every month we have a head office get together where we celebrate people's tenure with our company, and we give out certificates, and we have breakfast together. So we've maintained those things. That we did it just this morning where we celebrated work anniversaries, and so everyone came in, a huge training room. Everyone comes in, and the CEO recognizes the dedication of our employees and celebrate their accomplished anniversaries. And they get a certificate, and it's quite fun, we have breakfast, and we sort of make that human connection that you're talking about. So we still found ways to do that. Plus, people were on a 3-day off, 2-day on site, or 2 days on. And we are always overlapping. There's always a day where at least 75% of the head office staff are sitting at their desk.
Right.
Parking lots full, if you know what I mean. So it worked for us. I don't know that it would work for every company, but certainly we figured out our sweet spot. And with COVID behind us, we didn't go back. We just continued. And now this is the norm for our company. This is how we operate.
Fascinating. When you face a trial and tribulation like that, either you die or you get stronger. And I truly believe you get stronger, right?
Yeah, we definitely saw an increase in our business. Efficiency went up, productivity went up. So yeah, so I think that we had a positive outcome from that experience.
Arthur, being in a position like you requires a lifetime of dedication and commitment. Let's go back in time. Where were you back in your early years of university? Did you go to school or what were you when you were like 19, 20 years?
When I was 19, I was a student in New York, City University of New York, the Medgar Evers College. And I was a member of the soccer team. I was a goalkeeper. I was captain of the soccer team. Played NCAA soccer. I ran track for the university. You have me going back. I remember my time running at the Penn relays and having a lot of fun. And majoring in computer science and marketing back then, age 18, 19.
Wow. What got you into computer science? And it was so nice that you also took marketing because you also learned business, right?
Right. Well, interestingly, I don't think when when you go to college, you actually don't know what you're really gonna major in. At least most of us.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to do something in business. I knew my personality lends itself to communication and marketing. And so I decided to focus on marketing as my major with a minor in computer science because I realized that you definitely need to have a tech side, even way back then, to if you're going to be successful in marketing. And so that's where it all started, and started taking courses in data structures and programming, very strange languages like Fortran and COBOL, and oh my God, you're taking feedback.
It's fun to remember because
Yeah, and in my third year, I was hired by IBM on an internship program, and I worked in their data systems division in Brooklyn. And I think that's where the spark really started. In like 1983, at age 19 or 20, to say you work for IBM is the equivalent of today saying you work for Google.
Yeah.
In terms of the impact, right? So
Being a student.
it was a huge thing. It was a huge deal. It was a big deal. And I to this day, I recognize the value of my IBM experience, the discipline that I learned, that was drilled into us as engineers, the frameworks, the methodologies, rubbing shoulders with some ridiculously bright people, and never lost any of that. I just built on top of that foundation as I moved on with my career. So that's kind of where it started.
I actually went through the corporate ladder too when I started my own business right after computer science, and it failed miserably. And then I decided to get a real corporate job, and I started with Fortune 500.
Job.
And you're right. I was 10 years in corporate before I did my, I started my own business, and the business acumen that I got in everything, the discipline that you say, it's so valuable. You know, at some point in my life, we decided to start selling to smaller businesses. It was a total disaster because, I mean, nothing wrong. Like I love small business. My business is small business. But when the person doesn't come with a corporate background, you don't even know how to set an appointment, believe it or not. Who you're talking to. So now we make sure that they have at least a corporate environment in order for them to become our clients. That's what we can take them seriously. And it's just corporate training. Same thing with sales. Some of the best salespeople we got were trained by Xerox,
Right.
right?
Right.
Holding photocopiers. But they have an amazing sales forum, right?
That's true. That's true. That is a fact.
So what did you do after graduation?
So I stayed at IBM, and then I, you know, I remember we went up to upstate New York, big IBM plant up there, and we went into a huge auditorium, and there's a guy up there talking to us. We're all young interns, engineers, sort of talking to us about the future, and I'll never forget. He said, and by the way, we were all wearing blue suits, white shirt, and red ties, right? So we all looked alike. It was a trip. And he said there are only three people in the world: those who used to work for IBM, those who work for IBM, and those who want to work for IBM. And at that point, I felt, okay, this is a cult. I think I need to get out of here. And they were all dressed the same way, so it was just like weird. Okay,
Right.
but seriously, having that pedigree on my resume was invaluable. I moved from IBM and started my time on Wall Street. I might have made one or two smaller moves in between, but the more significant changes would have been IBM, followed by Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner and Smith, the World Financial Center in New York City, and spent 8 wonderful years, 7 to 8 years working in capital markets. I led a team of quant analysts, and we basically wrote code that ran analytics that was used by our capital market traders, mortgage-backed securities, collateralized mortgage obligations, CMOs, money markets, foreign exchange, treasuries, you name it, options, futures. We wrote code to run all kinds of crazy reports for our traders. And these things were done overnight. So I had a team that we started work at 2 p.m. And so we would collect all the data from all the trades in capital markets, and then we would crunch these and then generate the data that's needed to put our traders ahead of the game the next morning. And that was just a great experience, just being at Merrill Lynch, in the mid 80s, was just a fantastic experience at my young age, and got several promotions, but it was very technical work that we were doing. So I learned a language called APL, a programming language, was developed again over at IBM. That's what we used to develop all of these math intensive algorithms and analytics that ran the trading floor at Merrill. And after about 7 or 8 years there, I moved, as you do on Wall Street, you move to the bank across the street. You kind of move, so you're doing your tour, you kind of go to the next one. I went over to Bankers Trust. They're not there anymore. Their building was condemned after 9/11. And I worked at Bankers Trust for a while. And so I spent time in the financial district, spent a fair amount of time in that, and then made my shift over to the retail consumer product space.
Isn't that amazing that you look at the amount of work that humans did to actually stay ahead of the curve in the financial global markets. One of my first clients when I started my company was um, an investment firm out of New York City. They moved to Toronto because they figured out the internet was strong enough back then to move to a city half the price and do the same thing. And they were these 7 Jewish, highly, highly skilled traders.
Right.
Their office was on the 65th floor of this high rise in downtown Toronto, in the financial district. And they could fit 50 people there. They were 7 guys, and they had this fancy fish tank with this exotic fish. I asked the owner, like, what's up with this? You're only 30 people. He said, well, the money was saved from New York City. You just afford us to do all this. You know why they hired us? This is 2007, 2006. They hired us to create triggers so that because like the Bloomberg terminals back then were not advanced enough, and this is a lot long, like further away from what you were programmed like that, right? So basically, we created things for them with different levels so that if the stock will go up or down, it will trigger something, and so that I would connect some of the trades for them. And we went through rigorous testing because it's like millions of dollars, like people buy and sell $10 million in 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Net of knowledge, right?
Right.
Like, so we went through rigorous testing, and it was for us was like a rocket science. It was such a beautiful project. We put it on mobile devices, believe it or not, they have Blackberries, and we would push the notification to the Blackberry. And now I tell you this because I love that. I'm still an investor. That like half my time I spend doing some investing on my own, and now with AI, the advancements of technology, it just has leveled the ground, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I mention when I'm lecturing to my graduate students in human resource management using HRIS. And one of the points I made is the introduction of technology into the practice of the HR function in the marketplace has leveled the playing field, because no longer do you have to spend millions of dollars buying platforms from the big players like SAPs and the people, right? And the Dynamics. Smaller companies, because of cloud computing, are able to step in and offer and present themselves as being as magnanimous as those established brands, right? And so that is the power of the use of technology as the great leveler, which I agree with you. And it's not just AI, it's more broadly speaking, it's technology, that's the internet, that in general, that's creating this leveling of the playing field and allowing more providers, more nimble, more agile providers to step in. And what that does is it benefits the consumers, because out of that comes more innovation at a lower cost point over time. It's out. The Chinese DeepSeek, the company, has now come up with a way to create the models that's so inexpensive relative to GPT and Gemini and the US-based firms that there was a sell-off on the stock market over the past few days here in the United States, because, again, technology is the great leveler. I think it's fantastic. And I think it's also happening in our retail space. The fact that, Reed's Jewelers, we're a 79-year-old traditional business, family owned, and now we're projecting ourselves internationally. And we don't have a store anywhere outside the US. Yet still we're projecting our brand internationally, and we're taking orders and we're delivering to your door in 3 or 4 days after you check out. Fantastic.
Right? Yeah, no, and it's I remember in 2005 when the internet speed got 1 megabit per second, I was like, this is amazing. Like, whoa, right?
Yeah. I remember we used to have floppy disk. Yeah. And we had a floppy disk, and I remember when you had your PC and you had, 2 megs of RAM, and you thought, oh, wow, this is really great stuff. I can do great things with this. We've come a long way in 40 years.
Now I go to an AI assistant to ask me to tell me what my schedule is and what the weather, and if I had more connectivity, I would tell it to make my coffee. And we take it for granted, right?
That's right. Right. We do. But you and I are what I call the bridge generation, because we're right in there where we were here before all of this started, and we're here watching it change and morph and jump and switch and spring forward. And so we have the ability to kind of look back and see the way things were and have a deeper appreciation for where we are than a generation that came after us, because this is all they know. So in terms of appreciating what has transpired in 45 to 50 years or less, they can't quite understand it. We can.
I call it the blessed generation because it makes you appreciate what you have, right?
Yes.
Look at me now, right? I shut down my head office 2 years ago, and we're saving thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and one more product going back to technology, right? So, but I remember, like you were saying, like I was working for the biggest telecommunications corporation in Canada, a multinational, global billion-level multinational. We owned the lines, and the best connectivity I could get to our data center was an ISDN line.
Those were the days.
128 bits or something like that, like something like that, like super slow, right? So, and look at the conversation we were having. I mean, Toronto, you are North Carolina, and this is instant, and like we'll be talking to somebody from South Korea or Japan, right?
Yeah, it is phenomenal, the rate of advancement that we've all experienced. Again, in 40 years, to be honest,
Arthur,
late 80s to now, yeah.
I follow the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior, and so I've been reading my Bible more often these later years now that I get older. And Bible says that in the last days, the technology will go through the roof, right? And that people will actually move back and forward super fast. The numbers last year were like more than 5 billion people were going to plane last year. And I thought about this because if you look at society, let's go back 100 years, early 1900s. People were still riding on horses. Now, if you look at, let's say, 1895, all the way down to the beginning of humanity, it was pretty much the same.
Yes.
We depended on horses. We depended 100% on manual agriculture.
Yes.
Right? Our fossil fuel was mostly wood. Think about it. And then all of a sudden, 1900 shows up.
Yeah.
And we managed to invent the light bulb. And then we invented the car. And then the steam engines, right? I think that was the first thing, the steam engines, the Industrial Revolution. But it's in a matter of 150 years compared to thousands and thousands of years of history. And now, when you talk about
all right,
50 years, in 50 years, it's been so incredible about it, and nothing is happening. Look at AI. Now it's crazy what's happening, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, the elapsed time to a major shift is decreasing with each shift, right? So like you just said, we went through thousands of years, then we went through 100 year of just amazing industrial development on a global scale, by the way. And then we went through 50 years of just insane connectivity, right? And now we're in the data knowledge era. And as of this morning, AI has been shifted to a whole new level because of what the guys at DeepSeek have been able to do, which is to optimize their model up to last week, the approach in the US was to throw more big iron, build massive data centers to crunch and compute because of the power needed to support the large language models that are behind AI. And then colleagues in China said, we're going to just find a way to just have more efficient models so you can run it on your laptop. And these guys did that.
I wonder what Microsoft and Facebook are thinking right now, because
well, I'm sure right now everyone's trying to figure out how are they going to do it too. And there was a massive sell-off that hit our S&P over here in the past week or so. So again, it's the rate at which we are advancing because of technology is at an increasing rate. And if you close your eyes, you might miss something.
And I think that we reached the exponential curve where it's unstoppable, and it's faster than we can think. Give you an example. I have another channel. I have a Christian channel on YouTube, and we spend hours and hours and hours putting subtitles of the videos in other languages. So we only decided to do Spanish because it was a lot of work. Last week, we found a tool that you feed the video, you choose the language, and that thing not only speaks on my voice, the same company with different language, but it also changes my lip, make it look like I'm speaking that language.
Augmented reality, yeah.
And I don't say it in a matter of minutes. I'm like, what is this? So now I could speak in French, Chinese, I could do and it's my voice and my face, the same video that I recorded in English. And it's automatic.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, right? In the jewelry industry, me and lots of CIOs and CTOs are leveraging AR, augmented reality, to give our customers who shop online as much as we can that same rich immersive experience that you get when you walk into a store, right? And so the ability to go to our site, reeds.com, and curate and find that ring and then try it on, and then not only we let you try it on, but we let you move it from one finger to another. The ability to select the ensemble of products that you want to wear, and then to see yourself wearing it, to see the earrings dangling here.
Nice.
These are things we're doing already. The ability to use holograms or holographic technology to take a watch, any watch, and bring it right here in front of you and have it spin so you could actually interact and look at it. It's about an immersive experience. And so again, the technology that we would have seen in cartoons or we saw it on Star Trek, we're using it now to sell jewelry.
And the amazing part is that you don't even need to wear a gadget. Like I thought we were going to need to wear those goggles I wear.
Yeah, the big huge things.
Now you go into a web browser and you do the same thing without having to wear anything.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's where we are. And I have kept innovation at the front for our business. We're a jewelry store, and when I tell people about this, I actually have an innovation lab at Reed's, and people say, well, you're a jewelry store. And I'm like, right, we're a jewel tech store, and which happens to be a name that I've coined up in the tech triangle here in North Carolina. But yeah, we're focused on change, innovation. We have a store of the future strategy where we're building our stores, the physical store, and we're integrating all of these advanced technologies so that we appeal to the affinities of our customer base. Some people want to come in and they want to build their own rings. So it's like, do it yourself area, and you create your ring, and we're going to have you eventually print that on a 3D printer. and
Wow.
size it, and then we'll make it for you. You know, it's
Amazing.
yes, it's actually fun, and it's because I am challenging my team and my peers and the organization in general. Say, hey, let's think beyond. Let's get out of the box here, and let's leverage technology, not just because it exists, but where we have the right use case. Where it's practical and sensible, and where it will help our customers have that immersive experience, then we'll use it.
I think what helped a lot to mainstream companies like yours is the whole startup concept that was developed in the 2000s. They failed forward and don't be afraid to try. Um, Companies don't do it these days. They go micro very fast. I remember even when I was in big corporate, I would always fight with management to have every Friday to have my team work on innovation, regardless of how many projects. And I work for one, always one. And because of that, my department was always being rewarded. We were like 80% of the stuff we did there we never implemented, but the 20% that we did will revolutionize the business.
Yeah.
And up to today, I still have the same mentality. Like, for example, that's why we innovate. Like, we're supposed to be software consultants, but we have platforms that we're doing internally that makes us 10 times cheaper, faster, better than the competition. Why? We studied it at that time, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so now it's a necessity. Either you do that and stay ahead, or your competition does it and they stay ahead and you go back.
Well, that's just it. I mean, it's surviving or not survive. It's existential, right? I mean, do you want to exist or not? And how do you want to exist going forward? So, innovation is a big part of what we're doing with this digital transformation of our company that we're going through. And we're in our fifth year now of it. We're migrating several legacy platforms that have served us well over the 50 to 79 years of technologies that we've put in. And however, it's time, and so we're rolling out, we're moving things off of our dearly beloved AS400, and finally, and we're doing it. I'm doing it in a very surgical way, right? Like, I am pulling the components off because there's just so much customization that would have been done over decades, right? And you don't have to ask. There's usually not enough documentation that would have been done. So in many cases, you rip it off and see what's under there, and you go, oh, okay, let's adjust. And so it's painstaking. It's taking longer than you would probably have wanted, but it's because we have to be careful that when we turn something off, that we don't surprise ourselves by breaking the inventory system over here because it needed that one variable that we stopped providing. So we've made some huge moves. Our CRM's big part of what we're transforming right now. Our point of sale systems. We're huge on data at Reeds. Culture has been transformed. We've brought in lots of new senior people and analysts who are very data focused, data scientists. And we don't make any decisions without basing it on the numbers.
Well, that's why
Even our real estate strategy is driven by numbers.
that's why you are thriving. Like, you don't use data, you're blind.
This is true.
Right?
This is true.
Literally, nowadays, it's like, are you kidding me?
Yes.
This is the core of your business. The data now is the core of your business, whether you want it or not. Right?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Arthur, I promise you half an hour and it's been almost 45 minutes. I am so far with this. It's so amazing to be talking with you. I'll ask you another question before we go. If you had access to a billboard in front of the TCS highway on Mars, what would you rather?
Could you repeat that for me? Sorry.
You had a billboard, and this billboard was in front of a highway, very busy highway. What would you write on it? What advice would you give to the world?
Oh, what advice would I give to the world? Find time to share your knowledge with someone. That would be my message.
I need to put that on the website of this podcast. Because that's exactly what we're doing, right?
That's right. Find time to share that knowledge. Because knowledge contained is of no value, but knowledge shared can make all the difference to humanity.
Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you for that. I truly believe in that. That's why I run this non-for-profit podcast. May the Lord bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So, find you. Are you on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn, sir. Yes, you can find me anytime, and I'm always available.
Fantastic, Arthur. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a good
God bless you. All right, take care. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leaders in Tech podcast. Check in next week to keep learning how to use technology and leadership to change the game. See you next time.